I hope what you'll see today is a really comprehensive and very positive articulation from myself and my leadership team in terms of how the year has progressed, and I suppose a bit more importantly, where are we going and what would we like to see for the future. As you'll recall, last year Ross Martin, our chair, reached the end of the 5-year cycle, and we welcomed Pamela Woodburn in as the new chair of Link Group, and it's been a brilliant year with Pamela, getting to know the business. I'd also like to just update all of you as members in terms of some of the changes we've got at the Link Group board level. So this year, again, as part of a cycle of board members retiring, we've welcomed 4 new board members to the group. We've had Julio Bros Williamson, Mags Lightbody, Stuart Heatley and Michael Leslie have all joined the board, bringing an enormous wealth of experience across finance, housing, governance. Really looking forward to working with 4 new board members. So in terms of the structure of this session, what we've divided it down into is a very brief introduction from myself. I'll run through a little bit of background in terms of how is the group structured, because it has changed slightly over the course of the last few years. I'll bring you up to date with where we are financially, and also touch on a few themes that are important to us. What I'll then do is hand over to our Group Communities Director, Sarah Smith, to talk you through all the important frontline tenant and service user services that we provide and how we've performed over the course of the last 12 months in that regard, and also to Colin Culross, our Group Commercial Director, who will give us a full update in terms of the commercial activities across the group, which are fundamental to generating income that we recycle into our community services. So hopefully with those 3 different aspects, you'll get a very good picture of how the group has been performing. The purpose of this group is fundamentally anchored into delivery of high quality services to our communities, and more importantly, to how we look after people and provide them more opportunities for themselves and their families in the future. And that core social purpose remains absolutely unchanged from previous years. It anchors everything we do, and it is supported by a very, very strong values framework, which underpins how we work in our communities. There have been a couple of very subtle changes this year that I do want to run you through, but it'll be very familiar to most of you, I suspect. We start with Link Group as the parent company. It owns a lot of the housing assets across the group, and from Link Group's perspective, what we then do is we look to the enormous diversity and strength that we have in the partner organisations to deliver really high quality services. Link Housing Association has always been our frontline tenant support organisation. This year, Link Housing Association in its own right has also become a registered social landlord. It is becoming a charitable organisation as well, and the Scottish Housing Regulator very supportive of us making that move. We have Curb 6 Limited, which, as you'll remember from the AGM last year, was really reset to provide a really strong commercial platform for the group. Curb 6 contains all the external contracts and commercial activities, generate income, which was recycled back into the social part of the group. And we were also supported by a fantastic network of wider partners. We have 3 partner RSLs in Horizon, Larkfield and West Highland, all very specialist in very different areas, and all contribute very powerfully to the portfolio of organisations in the group. And I'm delighted that we have board members from across the organisations with us today as well. And we also have Link Living, which is a specialist care and support organisation that also provides an enormous range of really important support services to disadvantaged communities across Scotland. You can see in a very small summary how important these services are, but also how diverse they are and how we work together to make sure that we get the real benefit of everyone's specialist experience is a fundamental focus of all of us as a management team. What I've set out on this slide is a bit more depth around what all the different companies in this group do. It is a very complicated picture, but it is deliberately designed to achieve one simple factor, and that is to make sure that the right companies in the group provide the right services. That is expressly what this delivers. You've got high quality tenancy services provided by Link Housing Association, really, really important tenant services. You've got high quality commercial services in Curb. You've got high quality support services in Link Living. And if you look at Larkfield, Horizon and West Highland, these are RSLs that perform up at the top quartile in Scotland in terms of the tenancy support services that they provide. And the group, as a consequence, is extremely large, 100 million turnover group, but as a consequence, keeping absolute separation of some of these organisations so that we can be clear that those service channels work well is really, really important to us. With the complexity of the organisational structure, it is really important that we keep a clear line of sight operationally as to how we work. And how we run internally is through 3 core directorates. We have a communities directorate headed up by our Group Director of Communities, Sarah Smith. That collects all our frontline tenancy and service user support teams together. We have our commercial leadership team under Colin, Culross that look after Curb 6, and we collect all our highly experienced professional corporate services teams together under our Group Director of Corporate Services, Neil Hall, and that team is absolutely paramount as well from the perspective of providing the platform for the group to be safe, to be financially resilient, to be commercially structured in a way that underpins how the regulator wants to see our controls framework, and it provides the group board confidence that all the frontline services are provided on a safe and compliant manner. I want to talk through very briefly how we're performing as a business financially. Those of you who are members last year will have heard me talk about the challenges that we faced as we came out of the pandemic. You'll be familiar with the financial position from last year, and it was a really challenging year. We were wrestling with how do you start services back up that have been switched on and switched off? How did you navigate changing cost profiles? And I think it's fair to say that last year we were fairly pleased about how the business performed and managed to deliver in a very complex operating environment. If we step forward to this year, there is a lot more stability in terms of the services we are able to provide. We have worked through a huge backlog in terms of repairs and maintenance activities. The financial picture that you can see here is perhaps a game of 2 halves. There has unquestionably been a follow-on from COVID, which has affected the cost base of the organisation. Feel a bit in a perfect storm when you add in the war in Ukraine, which has affected materials availability, materials prices, and of course, the entire cost of living crisis, which has fundamentally changed the cost profile, not only of this organisation, but of every organisation across the country. As an organisation, as a board, and as a management team, we've been fundamentally focused on making sure that we continue to invest in the communities that we work in, irrespective of some of these cost pressures. So we are seeing a different financial picture than we expected it to be at the beginning of the year, but the bottom line financial position that Link is in has the strength to cope with that whilst protecting tenants. And I think that is a great reflection of many, many years worth of strong financial performance and a financial base that has been built up deliberately so that in situations like this, the organisation can do the right thing, continue to provide the services. We are continuing to develop new homes which provide much needed accommodation in communities, and I'm pleased to say that this year Standard & Poor's continued to reaffirm our credit rating, which is important to us because it gives funders confidence that we are a strong, resilient, financially stable organisation. But what I would emphasise to yourself as members is I think we're still in great shape, and I would like to give you confidence that we are certainly in a scenario where we are stable, it is financially strong, and I do think the future is very positive in terms of how we can continue to invest in our homes and in our services for tenants. Sustainability cuts across absolutely everything we do. It's the sustainability of the homes we provide, it's the sustainability of the services that tenants expect us to be able to give them when they need it most. It's the sustainability of the business in terms of how we run and the carbon footprint of the organisation and the impact we have on our environment. And last year, we set up a sustainability team for the first time. I was absolutely delighted. In the current year, we've produced Link's first ever environmental, social and governance report. It's fantastic to see some of the amazing services really being brought to life in a way that articulate why this business exists. And it's more than just about houses, it's about how we impact our communities. So sustainability is a massive theme, it's incredibly broad. We hold ourselves completely transparent and accountable for how we are progressing. And one of the ways we do that, we have ourselves externally accredited by a company called Ritterwald, and they assess us every year and perform an audit effectively on our performance. And I was delighted again to receive for the 3rd year in a row full accreditation, really showing that not only are we delivering on the plans that we've put in place, we're performing very much at the top level for housing associations across the UK in terms of how are we designing and delivering a sustainability strategy that will really markedly improve our services for the future. None of this can be done without amazing colleagues across our group of organisations. We are a people-based business. The services we provide to our tenants and our service users fundamentally based on making people's lives and opportunities better. As an organisation, we are very large now, over 900 staff across the group, incredible breadth of skills and experience from really high quality housing teams all the way through to some of the professional services teams in finance, HR and governance. And actually, when you look at how much training we provide and how we look to develop support for people, I'm delighted to see that evolving over time, and it will absolutely evolve again. A small example, but a really important one perhaps, this year we've established a new Belonging With Us strategy. It absolutely reaffirms our commitment to quality, diversity and inclusion in all its forms, and that starts with us. It starts with how we work together. Really important to recognise the huge amount of work has gone into that. And actually, one of the awards that we won this year was that we won the Housing Association of the Year award at the Scottish Home Awards. Now, why I was particularly pleased with that was that is a direct reflection on the way people in this organisation work. It's a direct reflection on the impact we have in our communities. And I would just like to say to everybody involved, thank you for everything you've done this year. The work that you put in is incredibly important. It has a massive impact on our communities. It's why we're all here. And I think that award, it says to me, we're doing an amazing thing, but none of that can be done without our colleagues. So to everybody who works in Link, in any of the partner organisations, thank you for all your time and energy. It's been a fantastic year, and I think you can all be really, really proud that that award shows that externally you are all recognised for being right at the top of your profession. So I guess the big question is, why does this matter? And as I said at the beginning, I'm delighted that Sarah Smith and Colin Culross are here, and they're going to talk you through from a communities and a commercial perspective, how have the businesses been performing from the perspective of the service users and the tenants who receive those services. I think it's amazing what we've been doing this year. I am incredibly proud to be part of this organisation and seeing the impact that it has on a daily basis. And I hope that Sarah and Colin will be able to give you just a snapshot really in the time we've got of why we're all so proud to be a part of Link because of the impact that we see in the communities that we are working in. Before I hand over to them though, I'm just going to play now a short clip that we contributed as part of an ITN series called Brighter Futures. And this series was looking at trying to really shine a light for people into what do housing associations do, what makes us tick and why are we here. We were delighted to be able to be invited to be involved with that. And this clip you're about to see went out on national television back in June, and I think articulates amazingly from a tenant perspective why do we do the work we do, and I think it's incredibly powerful, so I wanted to share it with you all before I hand over to Colin and Sarah.
With more pressures on communities in a post-COVID world and during a cost of living crisis, there's a lack of support for vulnerable tenants who are often not known to other statutory services. Link Group is described as a trauma-informed housing group that trains their colleagues to better engage, help and support their tenants, offering ongoing specialist support that leads to happier and more sustainable communities.
My name's Donna, and where I stay now is just across the road from where I grew up as a young lassie.
Donna's been struggling with her mental health, and it's taken its toll at home.
I wasn't looking after the place, you know, there was no respect for myself, for my house, let alone things like getting up and doing dishes or washing. I had bags and bags of washing like along the kitchen. I didn't actually want to live. Sorry, this is going to get awfully emotional.
Donna needed help, but she also needed someone to recognise that.
It can't just be frontline workers that are trauma-informed.
At this trauma training workshop in Falkirk, Link Group staff are being taught to spot the signs of tenants in need, like Donna.
What we want to do is recognise where trauma may be prevalent and adjust our practices so that people can build trust in us and therefore reverse the more negative associations between trauma and relationships. Some tenants wouldn't let a housing officer through the door in the first instance, but they may let a repairs person in because they need to have something mended. So it's really important that we train all of our staff to have those basic trauma-informed, compassionate lens through which to view interactions.
Now, instead of seeing Donna as a potential problem tenant, everyone knows what to do. And that's the point of the training.
It's allowed us to identify any triggers that tenants may be experiencing, and that shows us the way they've maybe been acting within their tenancy. So it's all about showing some empathy towards the tenant, make a bit of understanding as to what they're going through, and how we as a landlord can actually help them to sustain their tenancy, access the support services that are out there that are available.
Speaking to the right people has made the biggest difference to me. They know what areas to kind of talk to you, and they've got a knowledge. It's not just like an opinion, it's a knowledge that comes with that.
People who are allocated a home often have, the highest need, understandably. And that's at a time when community supports are falling away, that we have a massive crisis in social care, and the impact of the pandemic, and now exacerbated by the cost of living, means that we have tenants who are really struggling to live well in their homes, to pay their rent, to eat well and to participate in normal community life.
As well as supporting its own tenants, Link is also supporting other housing associations through things like trauma training and other initiatives like the Home Project.
This neatly stands for Help on Managing Everything. And it's a collaboration between our housing associations and our charity partner Link Living. What we provide through the Home Project is intensive housing management support to stabilise crisis, to help people with independent living skills, and to, in some cases, support them to access specialist services. When you see the situations that some tenants have been living in and how despairing they have been, how upset they have been, and now they have a greater sense of moving forward with life and seeing that there is a different kind of future and a better future for them. Yeah.
For Donna, it's been life-changing. Her once cluttered house feels much more like home, and with ongoing support, she's improving.
Up here has changed drastically in this past year. This project's been amazing. It's helped me just learn to trust again, to have somebody that you can talk to, that they're not there to judge you. That's the biggest thing.
And by helping to support tenants, helping neighbours live better together, supporting the creation of communities people are proud to call home.
At the start of the year, we launched Link's first ever community strategy. The strategy sets out Link's vision to develop safe, thriving and resilient communities which improve the lives of those living within them. The Scottish Government recognises the important positive contributions we make to many of Scotland's communities, and in recognising this, they agreed to write the foreword to our strategy, which we were delighted about. The community strategy harnesses this great work and ensures that we are greater than the sum of our parts, so that together we can support our communities through activities which aim to reduce poverty, exclusion and homelessness, which improve the health and well-being of our tenants, which create training and employment opportunities, and which strengthen local economies. And in these respects, our reach is significant. Last year, our teams managed 10,324 social rented properties. And on top of the sort of usual, if in fact there ever is a usual housing management services that are delivered, we had 1,061 tenancy sign-ups, and that involves a huge amount of work. Our homes were relet within 33.5 days. Last year we saw an increase of 50% in the services provided by Link Living. In addition to this, Link's partner organisations delivered a wealth of housing and support services to tenants and customers across Scotland. We know that many of our tenants are struggling to live well in their homes, both from a financial and from a well-being perspective. So what are we doing to support them? Our advice service secured 2.8 million in financial gains for our tenants. Breaks down into 3,332 welfare rights cases created, which helped just under 2,000 households. 531 tenants received debt and money advice. The advice service achieved its reaccreditation to the Scottish National Standards for Information and Advice Providers. Now, this is no mean feat, as it's a very rigorous process, which only a very small number of housing associations have successfully completed. And we hold this for both welfare benefits and debt and money advice. In addition to this, our teams actively sought out opportunities to bring in additional funding to help tenants. We secured £275,000 worth of support through the fuel insecurity funding. This meant that 229 homes received £140,000 of support for their utilities. 334 households received energy efficient and/or winter warmer goods, which totalled just over £130,000. We also provided nearly £120,000 of support through the Link Giving Trust, and this benefited 833 households. In October, we welcomed our new community wellbeing team. The overarching remit of this team is to support the ambitions of the community strategy by working closely with colleagues across the Link group of companies in identifying opportunities which add value to the work that we do, and to seek out new opportunities based on feedback from our colleagues in terms of what's needed. Given the fast approach of winter, the team really had to hit the ground running, and they worked with colleagues in housing and sustainability to plan a whole series of ease the cost of living events. First 6 large community events were held, and they provided information and advice and practical assistance on a range of topics, including money, food, fuel, clothing. They then went on to deliver a version of these to 14 of our sheltered retirement developments. They linked in with Larkfield's Soup and a Blether events, and West Highland tenants also benefited by the donation of winter warmth packages. We're also doing a lot of work to ensure that the fundamental approach and values that we all share really shine through in all our frontline activities. And to this end, we've been training all of our colleagues in trauma-informed approaches. So last year, 455 staff were trained through Link Living Skills Academy. PSL and Link Living work closely together to ensure that almost 400 tenants received the right amount of support to live well in their homes. A further 160 Link tenants were supported by Link Living's Home Project. 88 tenants received self-help coaching sessions to support their mental health and tenancy sustainment through our Building Resilience for a Better Homes project. We can really see how working in partnership across the group is resulting in some really innovative and enhanced services for our customers. Our Link Academy continues to expand the range of courses and workshops that we can offer our tenants and customers in the communities in which we operate. And our housing officers and Link Living project staff are working closely to see how best we can develop activities that meet the needs of our tenants. I'd like to draw particular attention to the courses for younger people. This last year has seen a number of successful grant applications to ensure that we can continue to roll out our Steps to Resilience programmes, which we've since adapted into a Sporting Chance programme, which collaborates with football clubs and sporting professionals and combines that with mental health support. This year we've made a distinction between the courses we offer through the Link Academy and those that we offer through the Link Living Skills Academy. The Link Academy is designed to support tenants and customers in the communities in which we operate, whereas the Link Living Skills Academy offers professional accredited training to practitioners. I've talked quite a bit about partnerships between our different organisations and between colleagues. I now want to talk about our partnerships with tenants. It has been such a joy to be able to return to local community events. We know how important these are. Tenants tell us that chance to engage with housing staff informally is really crucial to them. And it gives them the opportunity to highlight community and local housing issues. A great example of listening to our tenants is that in East Kilbride we were told that there were a lack of activities for children. So we're setting up a young people's group to work with Link to create a play area. Following their award-winning scrutiny of our advice services, the tenant scrutiny panel are busy at the moment scrutinising reactive repairs. This year they've been busy speaking at national scrutiny events hosted by TPAS, and this last year we implemented CX Feedback. This is a really exciting new tenant survey tool which has been specifically designed for the housing sector, and we're currently using it to measure tenant satisfaction with the repairs service. But as well as getting feedback from tenants, it also allows us to push notifications to them to let them know about local or link-wide issues. We started the year with the launch of the community strategy, and we're ending the year with the launch of our housing services strategy called Link Together. The strategy has been a collaboration between the 4 housing partners, Link Housing, Horizon, West Highland Housing Association and Larkfield. The strategy is developed around 4 key themes, and each of the themes is being championed by the senior housing leads in the partner organisations. To support each of the themes is a working group comprised of colleagues from across the directorate. And so I'm looking forward to telling you next year about how these have progressed.
I'd like to start by introducing you to how we are building success for Link Group. In 2022, we introduced Curb as Link's commercial delivery partner, providing services to Link Group and a range of external clients, including housing associations, councils, the Scottish Government and property owners. Curb's central aim is creating sustainable communities and to generate profit that Link can reinvest into new homes, improved services for customers and investing in staff development opportunities. Our first step to success is building the homes for those most in need, and we plan to deliver 2,400 new homes for affordable rent over the next 5 years. This follows a successful outturn of 400 new homes delivered this year, and we have a further 1,144 homes under construction, providing a pipeline for future years. With a focus on delivering more sustainable homes, Link has developed its new Net Zero Design Guide, with our new homes programme targeting non-gas heating systems in 2024 and built to net zero construction standards by 2026. Our programme also aims to integrate 10% of the homes we provide built to exemplar space standards for people with a range of disabilities. Our programme of development reflects Scotland's housing needs and demand, and we continue to deliver a range of tenures for different needs across 15 local authority areas. Our target of 460 new homes maintains Link's commitment to building more social rent homes. Creating sustainable places where people want to live is a central element of our design strategy, and I'm delighted that this was recognised in the 6 industry awards attributed to Riverside Dalmarnock, which won Large Development of the Year and Regeneration Development of the Year. Whilst Dalmarnock was a definitive success in large-scale urban development and regeneration, we are also developing rural solutions throughout Scotland. This year will see the penultimate phase of Dunbeg in Oban delivering 300 new homes and the largest single affordable housing programme in Argyll, and the completion of the first phase in Upper Auchintor, Fort William, delivering 82 new mixed tenure homes of a 300 home master plan. Our community benefits and procurement policy, which is weaved through all our contracts, has paved the way for a significant amount of gains, delivering 66 work placements, 46 apprenticeships, 33 new jobs and 4 graduate trainees. I'd like to express my thanks to Curb's property development team, whose commitment to delivering homes of such high quality is an integral part of creating places where people want to live. Our second step to success is managing homes, And in that broadest sense, we deliver a range of services which include managing the Scottish Government shared equity schemes, commercial letting, private rented sector homes, and delivering factoring services to owners. Our customer base has grown significantly, with our total reach now with more than 53,000 private customers. Having enjoyed a continued period of successful tendering, which I'm delighted to say has been repeated for the Scottish Government's Home Ownership Shared Equity Administration and After Sales, Link is now the sole administrator for all the Scottish Government shared equity products throughout Scotland. The new contract, which will now run for up to 7 years, puts Link at the centre of Scotland's affordable home ownership programme. Our factoring team is responsible for servicing the property management needs of more than 7,300 owners and have worked hard to reduce the arrears position over the year. And whilst these gains are marginal, it was significant in the operating environment of a cost of living crisis. This is also worth recognising considering the instant doubling of the portfolio with the addition of the former Weslow factored owners. Link's private sector offer continues to grow with an expanding mid-market rent portfolio growing through Link's development programme and from the additional properties acquired for Link's private sector leasing contract with the City of Edinburgh Council. Our development programme produced 28 additional mid-market rent homes, taking the total portfolio count to 1,066. The Curb Lettings team achieved better than target performance in both rent arrears and voids, which is a credit to their diligence and skills. Despite the economic challenges, Link's private sector leasing continued to make significant gains, increasing the portfolio to 1,832 homes, delivering this vital service to people facing emergency housing challenges in Edinburgh. With an increased portfolio came increases in arrears. However, emergency legislation introduced by the Scottish Government on evictions had the most profound effect when our arrears position worsened significantly. Our other performance metrics show some areas where improvement are required, but encouragingly, tenant satisfaction was above the target at 96%. Again, credit to the dedication of our team working within an incredibly challenging environment where our customer support needs are at their greatest. Our final pillar of building success is maintaining our customers' homes. All maintenance activities are now delivered by Curb Property Maintenance. Curb Property Maintenance has grown in size to match the increasing demand for repairs and compliance work and an expanding planned maintenance programme. We now have a workforce of 259, wholly committed to providing the highest level of customer care. The recent tenant satisfaction survey recorded exceptionally high satisfaction with the quality of our operatives, a credit to the way they and the office team supporting them deliver a customer-focused service. It's not been plain sailing, of course. We have had significant challenges while operating in a post-pandemic environment and considerable additional costs because of rising material and subcontractor costs. Keeping our customers safe is our highest priority, and our emergency response illustrates a high level of assurance by attending and making safe within a short time window. Our routine repairs performance has improved, but the average figures achieved mask the considerable challenges moving into a post-pandemic world with significant backlogs generated in the previous year. It also veils the considerable work our teams put into recovering a high volume of work and prioritising it to minimise the impact on our customers. Our spending on repairs gives some insight into the importance Link Group places on ensuring its customers can have the repairs carried out effectively and within agreed local standards, which were adopted during the pandemic and the legacy period thereafter. Like constructing new homes, we expect to generate a range of community benefits from the suppliers that we use, providing materials and specialist services in the delivery of repairs. Working with Link's community wellbeing team, we have introduced our Link in the Community Fund, which distributes around £4,000 per month and offers community groups awards of up to £500 for projects benefiting their community. This has been successfully trialled in the Falkirk area and will soon be rolled out across other communities. We're not just repairing homes though. Link has a considerable programme of investment to improve our tenants' homes by undertaking a range of improvements. This year we completed replacements of 196 bathrooms, 349 kitchens, 343 heating systems, 278 window and door upgrades, and ensuring our tenants' safety by undertaking 3,791 electrical tests. In total, Link invested £13.8 million as part of an ongoing programme of major repairs and component replacements. Our Scottish Housing Quality Standard was dented by the need to have all our properties with a current EICR test, which, given the number we achieved this year, will reset the figure significantly when we report next year.
Well, now you've had the opportunity to hear from Sarah and Colin, and hopefully you have a great picture of all the work that's been going on across the directorates over the last 12 months or so. The final thing I did want to say is that Neil Hall, our Group Corporate Services Director, is retiring at the AGM this year. Neil has been with the organisation for nearly 45 years. I spoke at the beginning about the financial resilience and the strength of the organisation. That is in no small part due to Neil's stewardship of the financial position of Link over many, many years. His efforts and energy and enthusiasm for this business have been extraordinary. And I wanted to say thank you to Neil for all the work you've put in. Link would undoubtedly be in a worse position without you having been here for so long. You will be a big loss to the organisation. From a personal perspective, I've valued your counsel and guidance over the last 4 or 5 years I've been here. And I wanted to personally wish Neil a happy retirement from myself, and I'm sure also from members across Link who have worked with Neil over many years. So a really big thank you, Neil, for everything you've done. And I just want to wish you a really happy retirement.